Hi everyone, my name is Courtney Rizza. I'm a current senior here at Hofstra University in Hempstead, New York. I am an early childhood and elementary education major as well as a geography major, and I am currently in my senior year, about to start my student teaching for my education in the spring. On campus, I'm a tour guide on campus, so I'm very involved in giving tours of campus and working at some of the events there. I'm also new membership education for the tour guide, so I'm in charge of training all the new tour guides and working that side of things as well. And I'm involved in a club called She's the First. It's an organization that helps send girls in third world countries to school. And so we raise money and we sell specifically tie-dye cupcakes to help raise money for that. I'm also involved in my building's hall council, so we plan programs for the different residence halls. I'm currently in my room. I live in a single. I have lived in the suite style housing my freshman year, as well as traditional doubles the past 2 years, and then this is my first year in a single. So if anyone has any questions about living on campus or living in the residence hall specifically, things on campus, anything at all, please feel free to ask. So we have one question that says, I have no idea what I want to major in. Is that okay? Of course, that's okay. Part of the experience of college is learning what you're interested in and what you want to do. So if you don't know what you are interested in, we have a bunch of different classes you can take to work with different professors and in different departments and see exactly what you're interested in. I knew I wanted to do education when I came in, but education requires a co-major, so I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do for my co-major. So I took some classes and I took a geography class my freshman year, and that's how I decided on geography. I have friends who have come in as wanting to be pre-law and then they switch and now they're education majors. So you may think you know what you want to do coming in, but as soon as you take the classes, you'll definitely have a better sense of what you would like to do. So if you have no idea, it's perfectly fine. That's what college is about. Okay, we have another question. How big are your classes? The great thing about Hofstra is that we are a medium-sized campus, so there's a lot of people on the campus, but not too many, in my opinion. And then our class sizes are about 20 to 30, but that is a rough number. I've had classes, some of my education classes, there's no more than 8 of us in the class. There are some science classes that tend to be a little bit bigger, but I've never had a class of over 40 people. And even the science classes are broken down into labs, so there's multiple sections of each lab. So even if it's a lecture class of 40, your labs are only about 15 students. So like even if you're not in a smaller lecture class, you're definitely in a smaller lab class, and so you still get to know the professor and get to ask any questions that you're interested in. Another question that someone asked is, what is there to do on the weekend? There is so much to do here at Hofstra on the weekends. Not only on campus but around campus as well. On campus specifically, we have movies every weekend. They're free movies. Some of the movies are the ones that have just been out of theaters but aren't yet on DVD or on Netflix or anything like that yet. So there's those, and if you bring your own container, you get free popcorn. And then at midnight, they show kind of like a throwback movie, so a movie from your childhood, sometimes the Disney Channel original movies, things like that. We are Division I sports here at Hofstra, so there's plenty of games to go to on the weekends depending on the season. Right now there's a lot of soccer games going on, and field hockey and things like that, and then basketball will be starting up soon as well. So there's always sporting events to go on, and then depending on the weekend there's tons of different things going on. Sometimes we have different festivals, so we have our Irish and Italian festivals on campus. We also have different student events, student conferences that you can attend. So there's always something going on. Trips to the city is a huge thing, especially as a first year student. When you come in as a freshman, they offer a lot of free trips to the city to go to museums or go ice skating, take a tour of a specific neighborhood in the city. So there's tons of stuff, and that's just all things through Hofstra. In the surrounding area, there's a ton to do, including the Roosevelt Field Mall, which is our big mall right by campus. It's one of the biggest malls in the country, so they have pretty much any store that you could imagine. They just put in a brand new outlet type mall right near us as well. There's obviously you can go into the city on your own as well. So the train station, there's a shuttle that takes you right to the train station, and you can go into the city on your own to go do whatever you and your friends are interested in. Obviously, New York City, is an unlimited amount of things to do, and there you could never run out of things to do. And then there's obviously on Long Island itself just a lot of small towns that you can go visit. You can go to the beach if it's nice and warm out. There's parks nearby. You basically have an unlimited area around here with Long Island and the city, and then campus has a ton to do as well. So I could go on and on about things to do on the weekends, but there's clearly a lot to do. And as you get to campus, you'll definitely find out what you enjoy doing most and what you enjoy. Are there internships available? Yes, there are internships available. Some schools here, such as I know parts of the School of Communication, do require internships. Not every major does. For example, I'm education, so we have student teaching and observations that are kind of built in for us. But Hofstra does an awesome job of helping you find internships. We have a career center right here on campus. In the career center, they are so knowledgeable about internships. You get emails every week about the different internships offered. We also have a service called Pride CMS, which is on your Hofstra homepage once you're a student here. And they list the multiple internships and even job opportunities as you get further on and you're starting to look for full-time employment. So they have those as well, but the professors and your advisors here at Hofstra are so awesome at helping you find internships. They will recommend you. I have a couple friends who have gotten internships just because their professors go up to them and will say, hey, like, I think you'd be really great for this internship with one of my friends or one of my former coworkers or something like that in the city. Why don't I get you an interview? So I've had friends that have had that happen to them. I have one friend who's a communications major who interned for a semester at ABC, and he's actually now a part-time editor for some of the ABC shows. So some of the shows that you'll see on ABC have been edited by him, and I think he's working on a segment for 2020 right now. And he's my age. He's just a senior, and so this is just something that he does on weekends and days that he doesn't have classes. So that's just a small portion of the internships. Obviously, there's tons of internships in New York City itself, but also internships available right here on Long Island if you don't have a car or you can't travel very far. So there are plenty of internships in the area. Our campus, I'd like to say, is a little bit of the best of both worlds. It's definitely suburban in its setting. We are about a half hour outside of New York City, about 40 miles or so, half hour by train. So in that sense, we are a suburban campus. There's things to do around here. There's lots of, like I said, the Roosevelt Field Mall, different stores, things like that. But our campus itself, I'm from a more rural area of Massachusetts, so when I was looking at schools, I wanted something that made me feel like I'm at home. So I wanted something very similar with lots of trees. I live in the middle of the woods at home, so I wanted something that made me feel like I was at home. And Hofstra's campus really does that because as I look out my window right now, all I can see is trees. I can see the tops of a couple buildings, but other than that, I just see trees. So although when you're walking around campus, you don't feel like you're in a suburban area, sometimes it does feel a little bit more rural, so it's a really nice balance because we're registered arboretum, so we have tons of trees on campus, as well as beautiful sculptures. They plant a tulip for every student in the spring, so we have tons of flowering trees and tulips when you if you ever come to visit in the spring, I definitely would take the opportunity because that's when I fell in love with Hofstra. So I'd say we're definitely in a suburban area, but if you're from a rural area like I am, you'll definitely feel at home here at Hofstra just because of the setup of the campus and the way that our campus is landscaped. Do you ever go to New York City for classes? Yeah, they're actually I think it started last year, they started offering actual January session. So if you decide to stay for an extra class in January, they do have something called Hofstra in New York City. So you can actually take a class 3 or 4 days a week in the city. So you'll meet a professor and you'll meet at a location that they specify, and you can take a class over winter break right in New York City, which is an awesome experience. But just in general for regular classes, especially some of our first year seminars, which you can opt into if you like, almost all of them, I think, do a trip to New York City at least once. So I was in two first year seminars, my first semester and second semester of freshman year. My first one was a psychology seminar about how children are very resilient, and when they go through things, they can kind of bounce back really easily. So we went to see a play called Next to Normal on Broadway, and the play kind of went along with the general gist of resilience in children of the class. And everything was paid for by Hofstra, and by our professor brought us lunch, or dinner actually by that point, before we left. So he brought in pizzas during class, and then after the class was over, we took the shuttle bus to the train station. Hofstra provided all the train tickets, as well as the tickets to the show when we got there, and it was an awesome experience. And then the second semester of my freshman year, I took a child labor geography course, and our professor took us to a nonprofit foundation in New York City that helped children who were involved in child labor kind of immigrate to the United States. And that was actually on one of the top floors of the Empire State Building. So not only was it really interesting to get to go see real life what we were learning about here in our classes, but also to see what the view from the Empire State Building was incredible. I took so many pictures. So just being able to see the view, and then also being able to learn about that. And then after that, we went to the UN building and got a tour of the UN building, and kind of got to see what they were doing there as well. And like I said again, our professor took us out to lunch in between the two stops that we did. We went to a Chinese place, and it was delicious. And so those are just a couple of the opportunities. Some classes take more trips, some classes send you on trips on your own. I just had to go into the city for one of my dance classes to see the New York City Ballet for a project assignment that I have. So sometimes you get to do things like that, but there's definitely opportunities for your classes. They utilize New York City as much as possible. Our next question is, what is the food like? The food here at Hofstra is amazing. I'm a very picky eater, so when I went to every school I visited, I had to try the food. My parents started getting very annoyed, but I had to try the food. I wanted to know that if I was going to be spending 4 years of my life somewhere, that I could eat, that I'd get enough food, and that I'd enjoy what I was eating. So I tried the food here at Hofstra, and it didn't even compare to some of the other schools I was looking at. There are so many different options. We have over 20 places to eat right here on campus. The student center, which is kind of our main hub, where if you would call it a main dining hall, that's where most of the eateries are on campus. There's a new Sbarro pizza in there, which I just got lunch from today. There is a kosher kitchen, a sushi bar, as well as organic food, sandwiches and burgers, Chinese food, and then a salad bar, smoothies, ice cream, and that's all just in one location. We have other places. We have a Red Mango frozen yogurt on campus. We have 2 Starbucks locations, and then in one of our freshman housing buildings, there is a Nathan's Hot Dogs as well as a Subway sandwich location. So that's just a brief overview of some of the food here at Hofstra. If you have the chance to come visit, I definitely recommend it. There's a lot of food to come try here at Hofstra. There's endless options. You could be spending weeks trying to get a little bit of what everything that's offered here. And the nice thing too is that we're on kind of a debit plan meal card, so you don't get a certain number of swipes. You can eat whenever you'd like, and it just deducts the price from the amount of points that you have. So you can get a coffee in the morning and then grab breakfast 2 hours later, then grab lunch and a snack and dinner and dessert, and you don't have to worry about the amount of swipes that you have, or that you're going to run out of swipes. And the meal plans are also really easy to reload points on if you need them. Our next question is there an honors program available for transfer students? Here at Hofstra, we do have the Honors College, which is available to anybody with the required GPA and SAT scores, so even transfer students can opt into the Honors College here. The Honors College gives you different options for classes. You can take honors options for some of your classes. There's also some required seminars you have to take. They do a lot of trips. I know a lot of my friends in the Honors College get to take trips. They went on a sea kayaking trip one year, and there's specific trips just for honors college students that are slightly different than the regular ones offered by Hofstra, so there's that. And then there's also specific housing now in Vanderpool Hall, which is one of our high-rise traditional style towers, and the honors students live there as well. So it's a really tight-knit community with the honors college, but it's really nice because it's not so tight-knit that like, I have friends that are in the honors college and I'm not. So it's a really nice balance if you're looking for something like that at a school. Our next question is, what do you do on campus besides study? Are you in any clubs, and what kind of clubs are there? There are so many clubs and so much things to do on campus that I couldn't even begin to list everything. We have over 200 clubs here on campus. At the beginning of every school year, there's a club fair, so you'll be able to go from table to table to explore the different clubs offered on campus. We have sports clubs. So we are a Division I school, but if you don't want to play Division I sports, or you can't play Division I sports for whatever reason, you want to try a new sport, we have club sports. So we have club soccer, club lacrosse, there's a Quidditch team. There's a lot of options for that, and they compete against other club teams as well, so it's still a competitive based sport, so you're not just practicing. They usually practice a few times a week and play against schools depending on what season, so that's just the club sports as well. As there's clubs, like I'm in a club that's kind of like a nonprofit club that's community service based, so you could be in a club like that. There's a Habitat for Humanity club, there's the She's the First club, there's clubs that do community service on their spring break. There's clubs that do community service right here on Long Island on a regular basis. There's clubs for any interest. Almost all the majors have their own clubs, so I know that there's a club for finance majors. There's a club if you're a drama major. There's clubs if you're psychology. So kind of no matter what your interests are academically, there's clubs for that. And then there's just the various clubs for whatever your interests are. There's different dance teams and dance programs that you can be on if you're really interested in dance. And even if you're not a dance major, any of our clubs are open to any major. So you could join the psychology club and be a finance major. It doesn't matter what your specific area of study is here at Hofstra. You can join and be involved in everything on this campus. So you are able to be a part of the dance team and do dance performances on campus, even if you're a biology major. We had a Pride guide who just graduated last year, and he was one of the lead characters in Rent, and he's a biology major. So he tried out for Rent, and he got one of the lead parts in Rent. So you don't have to be in the department, and being in the department doesn't make or break whether you are involved in that club or anything like that. So other than just being involved in clubs, which obviously is a huge part of things off campus, all these clubs host different events. So the clubs will host different fundraisers, bring different speakers to campus, raise money to go on different trips to places in New York City or around Long Island. So in addition to going to the club meetings and being involved in the day-to-day things that the clubs do, you can also be involved in either planning the events or just being able to go to events from clubs that you may not be specifically involved in. Like I said at the beginning of the chat, I am involved in a couple clubs on campus. I'm involved in She's the First, which we help raise money for girls in third world countries to go to school. You can also be involved in your hall council. So every building has a hall council, and they're in charge of planning different programs for the building. We did a pumpkin carving program last year. We did a hot chocolate and movie program around the holidays. We did a Halloween party. So you can be involved in things like that, and that's just a great way to get involved in your building and meet other people who live in your building and help plan some programs for everybody. In addition, we also have sororities and fraternities here at Hofstra. So if you're interested in Greek life, there is Greek life here on campus. As well, they also have some professional fraternities and sororities. So if you're interested in a specific major, there are some sororities and fraternities that are specific to certain majors. Our next question is to describe a typical day at Hofstra. I don't think there is a typical day at Hofstra. Every day is a little bit different. For example, this morning I didn't have class till 11:10, so I got to sleep in a little bit, which was nice. And I had two back-to-back classes, so I got out of class at 2, and I went and worked at my on-campus job for a little while until I came back here to do this. And then after this, I think I'm going out to, there's a little coffee shop down the street, so I'm going to do that later with some of my friends and get some food and some coffee, and then I'll probably end up coming back here and relaxing for a little bit before I start doing some homework. So, I mean, if there is a typical day, that's probably very similar to my typical day, but it really varies. For example, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I observe here at Hofstra in what's our STEM lab, so our science and technology, engineering, and math lab. So they bring in fourth grade students, and I get to do work with them individually in small groups on different math and engineering problems. So that's part of my typical day. Some people have internships like we were talking about, or jobs off or on campus, so that's part of a typical day. There's club meetings going on. There's events on campus, so I don't think there's any sort of typical day. There's definitely not, I mean, you get into some sort of a schedule, but it's definitely not a, this is every day, like from 10 to 11 I eat lunch, and then I do this, and then I do that. It's definitely not that rigid. There's a lot of flexibility in your schedule to do what you want to do and kind of be able to make the most out of your college experience. What is your favorite Hofstra tradition? My favorite Hofstra tradition is probably our concerts. We have at least 2 concerts every year. We have our fall festival, which is similar to our homecoming. And we also have our spring music festival. And they're both really large concerts that are held on campus. The fall festival, they bring in different amusement park rides and games, and they have cotton candy and burgers. In addition to all these great performers, we just had Kesha here this year, as well as Sugar Ray and a couple like local cover bands. In the past, we've had Jason Mraz was here before I was here, as was Justin Bieber. We've had Snoop Dogg in the past. We had Trey Songz here my freshman year. And those are just some of the small, not small, but some of the acts for that. They bring in different acts every year based on students' interests. They try to kind of pick a wide array of genres so nobody's unhappy. They bring a lot of artists that were really popular when we were younger, which is really cool because a lot of times you weren't able to see them when you were 7 or 8. Your parents wouldn't take you to a concert, or they were sold out. So like Sugar Ray got to come, and that was really cool to see bands that you kind of listened to growing up. Our fall festival is also our family parent weekend. So they try to bring some artists that are popular for your parents. They had Joan Jett here, and they had, oh, I can't think of the name of the other band. I can't think of it, but they have a lot of artists of all genres and decades, I guess you could say, here for that. So that's probably my favorite Hofstra tradition, just because my family comes down and I get to see my siblings and my parents and my friends, and we all get to hang out together, and there's fireworks and there's lots of food, and it's just a really nice community atmosphere. There's always a great like pride atmosphere, but that weekend especially, it definitely comes out a little bit in everybody. A tour of my room. Yes, I cleaned it specifically for this. So I'm in a single. The singles here at Hofstra are actually really great sized. The option for a single is available for any year, so you can have a single freshman through senior year. And they're all in the tower high-rise style living. So I'm on the 6th floor. If this other building wasn't in the way, I would have a view of New York City skyline. But there are some buildings that do have a really nice view of the New York City skyline. Sometimes I can kind of see the Empire State Building peek out from behind this other building. But other than that, so I'll give you a quick tour of my room. Oops. So this is my bed and my nightstand here. That's my window. Like I said, I'm on the 6th floor, and you can see just how many trees there are. Even though we're in a more suburban area, you can still have lots of trees. All my pictures of my friends and family. Oops, I can't figure out how this works. And then over here, there's my door to get out of my room, and there's me. And then over here, I have my dresser, so all of my toothbrush, my makeup, and then in the drawers, I store a lot of my clothes. And then in addition to that, you get a wardrobe or a closet. So you can store some of your clothes in there as well. And there's some drawers, oops, at the bottom to store more stuff. And then where I was just sitting is my desk, which is kind of messy. I have lots of post-it notes to remind me of what I have to do. And then my fridge, you can have a mini fridge here at Hofstra if you'd like. And then kind of back around through the window, I brought a bench, so. And then also my bed is pretty high up, so you can kind of see underneath my bed I have a bookshelf and some drawers and some other things that I have stored under there. So that's a quick tour of my room. If you have, oops, I gotta check plug in my computer again. If you have the opportunity to come visit Hofstra, you can definitely see some of the rooms. I wish I could show you a double today. I lived in a double the past couple years, and I really enjoyed it. Just with my student teaching, it was more beneficial for me to be able to have a single. But it's nice having your own space too. So our next question: why did you choose to go to Hofstra? I always love to tell the story because I visited Hofstra the first time by accident. Well, not technically by accident, but I wasn't really planning on coming here. I had a friend who we went to visit a couple schools in Connecticut, and I went with her to see some of the schools I was interested in Connecticut. And then we ended up at Hofstra. She really wanted to look at it, and her dad was like, "Let's go see Hofstra." And I remember it was about 95 degrees in the middle of summer, and I really didn't want to go see another school. We've been walking around campuses all day. My feet were tired. I was hot, and I just wanted to be in the air-conditioned car on my way back home. And he was like, no, 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 we're going to go visit Hofstra. So I was like, okay, fine. I'm not going to argue with my friend's dad. So I was like, yeah, okay, let's go visit Hofstra. So we got there, and everyone automatically was very friendly and welcoming. They made sure that we got bottles of water since we'd been on the road a while and it was really hot outside. They gave us all the information we needed. I sat through the information session, and slowly things were definitely starting to click, but it really, Hofstra really became my top choice school on the tour. Our tour guide helped us answer all our questions. They showed us everything on campus, the best places to eat. I got to see the residence halls, which was an awesome kind of thing. Like I said, I got to try the food. And my major, the tour guide was really familiar with all the majors. So even though I was education and she wasn't, she also could give me a lot of information about what I was interested in, which really helped. So I went and I applied to 10 different schools, all the way from Massachusetts, where I live, all the way down to South Carolina. And I slowly started narrowing it down. I narrowed it down to my top 3, which were all in New England other than Hofstra. And in the end, Hofstra felt like home. The campus, I felt like home. I felt like it was somewhere I could spend 4+ years and maybe stay here after graduation, which was something I felt really strongly about. It was a new experience for me. I'd never really been the type of person that liked to be far from home. I really enjoyed being, I was a homebody when I was little. I was that kid that my parents used to have come pick me up from sleepovers because I was too scared to not be at home. So it was a big step for me to move this far away. I'm only 5-hour drive, so it's not that far, but for me it was a pretty big step. They had the program that I really wanted. I can dual major in early childhood and elementary education and still graduate in 4 years. There's just so many factors into it, but I can't even describe the feeling when you walk into somewhere that's not your house and you feel just as comfortable in it as you do at home. When I walk into my room at the end of the day, or I drive back onto campus after being off campus for a while, I feel at home. I feel just as at home as I do when I pull into my own garage or lay down on my own bed in my own room at home. So it's definitely a nice feeling to be able to feel 100% at home and that you fit in and you have a place and there's things to do. And I mean, you have to see it for yourself. You definitely have to come visit Hofstra and see for yourself what that feeling's like, because it's something I'd never felt before coming to Hofstra. So I definitely recommend it. If anyone has any other questions, I'd love to answer them. So we have another question about how big are our classes. I did answer this a little bit earlier, but I'll definitely answer it again. Our classes are really great sized. They range, our average class size is somewhere around 30, but I've had classes that are as small as 8 people. And having a class where it's only about 8 people um, is a really great thing because you get to connect with the professor and you get to learn a little bit about what the profession's like, because you get to ask questions to the professor and they know your name. It's just a really great opportunity when you are that close to a professor. So the class sizes being that small are definitely a plus. Our next question is, I'm probably not going to play Division I sports, but I want to stay active. Do you have intramurals? We have a lot of different ways to stay active on campus, even if you're not planning on playing a Division I sport. Like I mentioned before, we do have our club sports, so you are able to play club soccer or something like that, or even try a new sport. You may have played soccer in high school and loved it, but maybe you want to try basketball, so you could do club basketball or intramural basketball. The difference between intramurals and club sports play against other schools' club teams, whereas intramurals, you kind of form a team with your friends or classmates or something like that, and you play intramural sports against other teams from Hofstra. So either way, you can still stay active, you can still practice and try something new. In addition to that, we have an awesome fitness center here on campus if you really like to work out. It's free with your tuition. You don't have to pay any money for a membership here. It was completely redone, I think 2 years ago now. They have a full indoor track, some basketball courts, cardio equipment, a weight room, and they also hold different classes. So they have yoga, they have Pilates, they have a new kickboxing class. So there's a little bit for everyone. So whether you're the person that kind of needs more organized sports, or someone that really just likes to work out on their own and maybe take a yoga class or two, there's definitely things like that. There's also classes you can take for credit that are physical classes. So for example, next semester I'm taking a class called Swim for Fitness. So twice a week I will go to the pool here on campus and I will swim. And the professors help you kind of like get a regimen going. I have friends taking weight training right now. I have another friend taking yoga. You can take archery. My friend took bowling. There's a lot of different active classes and you get credit for those. So you can get rid of an elective or something like that and still stay fit, and it's built into your schedule, which is really nice if you're really busy. We have a question about a Spanish major. Yes, we do have a major in Spanish here at Hofstra. You can major in just Spanish, or you can major in Spanish and something else as well. We also have Spanish as an education field as well, so if you want to be a Spanish teacher or something like that. So yes, there is a Spanish major here on campus. Any other questions? I'm interested in being a communications major. Tell me about the facilities and the different equipment I'll work with. So if you want to be a communications major, Hofstra is definitely the place to come. We have our school, the Lawrence Herbert School of Communications, and within that is film, TV, radio, public relations is also, and journalism are also all in that same sphere of the School of Communications. We have state-of-the-art equipment, the same or very similar to what you'd be seeing if you went into ABC Studios or if you went on to the floor of the New York Times. So we have very up-to-date equipment, and you can start working with the equipment as soon as your freshman year. So you don't have to wait until you are a junior or a senior to get to work with the equipment. So that makes you awesome, and well, it makes you awesome, but it also helps you market to different employers or people that you're looking for internships with, because you have the experience and they don't have to take time out of their busy schedules to help train you on the equipment, which is an awesome plus. The communications department does require an internship, so it's built into your 4 years here that you'll get some hands-on experience in the real world, which is an awesome plus. So you have it built in. There's no excuse for getting an internship or anything like that. We have 3 large studios inside of the School of Communications. Um, you get to use those not only for your classes, but there's also a couple clubs and activities, organizations that are out of the School of Communications. There's Thursday Night Live, which is our version of Saturday Night Live, completely student run, from the writing to the student live audience, to the filming of it and the acting, the set design, all that kind of stuff is something you can be involved in if you're interested in communications and that aspect of it. There's also a film club, so they make a couple films a semester. There is a PR club on campus, as well as different organizations. If you're interested in journalism, you could write for the Hofstra Chronicle, which is our school newspaper, as well as there's a couple magazines also on campus. So if you're interested in writing something more for a magazine, those are on campus as well. So there's plenty in the School of Communications, from the equipment that you get to work on, and that's not just the School of Communications. You are able to get into your classes things that you're interested in. You come to college to pursue a specific major that you're genuinely interested in, and you don't have to wait till your junior or senior year to take the classes that you'd like, which is an awesome benefit of coming to Hofstra. I took an education class my first semester here. Some schools wouldn't allow me to take any classes for my major until my junior year. But I was coming to school and I really wanted to start learning about education and looking forward to planning and setting up my own classroom. So it's really nice that regardless of the major, you're pretty much involved with your major, either with the equipment or with the specific material or in a lab if you're a science major, as soon as your freshman year. So it's an awesome, awesome way of doing it. And you still get to take some liberal arts classes, some of your distributions, your general classes, as well as some electives that you maybe really be interested in. And you can have an internship and you can kind of balance everything and still have the best of everything. Does anyone have any other questions that I can answer while we are still here? If that is all the questions that we have, I really, really thank you for joining us today. Again, my name is Courtney Rizza, and I am from Hofstra University in Hempstead, New York. Oops, hold on, one more question. Oop. So how can I visit campus was our last question. So if you'd like to visit campus, you can sign up online at hofstra.edu for a tour information session. If you are anywhere in the local area or can get to the local area, we have an open house coming up this Sunday on the 27th. We also, if you can't make it to this one, don't worry. We have a couple open houses coming up in November as well. So if you can make it to any of those, if you'd just like to come for a general information session and tour, we have those coming up at Hofstra, and you can go right online to hofstra.edu/visit. We have those Monday through Saturday, twice a day. So definitely come to Hofstra to visit. You'll fall in love with this campus just the way I did. And if you have any other questions, definitely come to a tour information session and you get to see everything I've been talking about for the past hour or so for yourself. So we greatly appreciate you taking your time out of your day to listen to everything that's so great about Hofstra, and we hope to see you here soon. Thank you.